Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of This is the Waypoint. My name is Chris, a.k.a. RumblePack92, and I shall be your host today. Joining me today, we got a full house today, baby. Look at this much bigger panel. We have one extra member. Starting from directly underneath me is Jordan. Say hi.
Hi, I can't wave because you guys wouldn't see me.
I will wave for you.
Thank you.
We got you. Don't worry. Next to Jordan is the one and only some other Josh.
This is the way.
The way. Directly above him is our guest host for the show, who's kind enough to come out and do this with us, Sir Jim Tasty.
Where did you get that podcast?
Take it off. It's every episode he says that. He's like, "You're not Mandalorians."
Podcast for 300 years.
And then finally joining us after 2 weeks on my far left is Albob875.
Heyo.
Heyo. Boys,
Hello.
I am very excited about this episode.
Absolutely.
So this one, of course, is we're talking about. So, dude. This episode is, of course, Season 2, Chapter 3, The Heiress. It's the shortest episode of the season so far, clocking in at approximately 35 minutes or so. But man, did they jam-pack every single second of this one. There's so much going on. I'm so excited to dive into it. But, I mean, as usual, first, I just kind of want to get general impressions, see what you're feeling of it. Like some top-level stuff. You don't have to get too far into it. We're going to do that in a bit. Al, why don't you start it?
Yeah, I really like this episode. As somebody who's watched all of Clone Wars and Rebels, I was very happy with all of the things they threw into this episode. So, yeah, it's kind of my top-level thoughts.
Absolutely. Josh?
As soon as I saw that it was like half the length of the season premiere and Sasha Banks was the thumbnail, I was all in. That was exciting. It carried through. It was a great episode. I love the action set pieces. I love the story beats. And then, as Al Bob was saying, just watching the Clone Wars and Rebels, absolutely happy with this episode for sure.
Brett, what about you, man?
Yeah, funny that Josh mentioned that. When I saw how short it was, I was kind of scared. I was like, oh man, I hope they don't deliver enough within the shorter time frame. But it was definitely a banger. It definitely was action packed, and kind of like how episode 1 rewarded book readers. This episode definitely rewarded people who have watched the animated shows.
Oh yeah,
awesome,
big time. Jordan, what about you, man?
I really like this episode, even being someone that I've never watched Clone Wars or Rebels. I definitely might get to them eventually at some point, but it was easy enough to follow, and I also have a passing understanding of Clone Wars and Rebels, so that helped a little bit. But even without knowing it, I liked it.
Hell yeah. And I mean, it's I know you said you might get to them at some point. I can't recommend both of those shows enough. It's just Rebels and Clone Wars is just damn good Star Wars, and so I can't recommend it enough. It's very good. Top level shit, you know what I'm saying?
That's awesome, Jordan, that you haven't watched the shows, because you're definitely gonna have a different perspective on this episode compared to a lot of us.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it'll be cool to get that kind of perspective. I mean, I don't think there's anything that you guys said that I really need to. I mean, y'all kind of covered it. I loved it, dude. I like every second of it. I thought was great, especially Josh mentioned the set pieces in particular, and yeah, dude, that's some of the best action I think we've gotten from the show so far. Of course,
Exactly.
as a big old lore nerd, there's lots and lots of references in this one, which I'm very excited to jump into. So to kind of get into episode discussion, then I'm just gonna get this out of the way right now. Holy fucking shit, there's Bo-Katan. Ah!
Yes. She's on the quest for the Darksaber.
Ah!
Yeah. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I lost my mind. It's my wife's back here, and we watch all of the episodes together. And the moment we saw like the other Mandalorian, like I saw her helmet, and Brittany has not watched like any in the shows or anything either, and so the moment I saw her though, I yelled out loud. I was like, "Oh my God, that's Bo-Katan!" And she was like, "What?" I was like, "No, you don't understand. She's in like the animated stuff and all these things. She's a leader of Mandalore," and I was like, "Ah!" You know, I was just going off on this whole thing. But again, they did such as they have been throughout the entire show. It's They do such a good job of pulling some like deep lore stuff, but then introducing it in a way to where it's like you don't have to have watched Clone Wars to be able to at least follow along the episode. It's like, but if you do know that, then I mean you get a little bit more out of it. But Al sent me something the other day in preparation for this to where there had been rumors for a while that we were going to see Bo-Katan on screen. A lot of people thought that was going to be Sasha Banks. She did end up being a Mandalorian, and I actually I thought she did a really good job with the episode too. She didn't have very many lines, but I mean she killed all the action pieces and stuff.
Diving into the water for the fish.
Yeah, that's right. Oh no, what was that? Something I didn't know was that the voice actress that plays Bo-Katan is who plays her in the show. And I had no idea she looked. Really cool. I had no idea she looked so like the character. I thought maybe they'd found somebody that looked like the character from the show and then kind of dubbed the actress's voice over. But no, that's actually her. And I had no idea that they'd modeled the character after the voice actress. That's very cool.
Yeah,
absolutely,
really cool touch.
Yeah, it just made so much sense for Katie Sackhoff to play Bo-Katan in live action because I'm not 100% sure that they modeled Bo-Katan after her, but I mean, she looks so much like her, so I feel like it had to have been some sort of coincidence that was the case. So, and she's an established actress, not only in voice acting but live action too. So, with like Battlestar Galactica and other things like that. So,
yeah, see, I hadn't realized that was Katie Sackhoff. Like until we saw that, and I went, oh.
Yeah.
Duh. Yeah. But I mean, my initial like concern was like when we were starting to hear rumors that characters like Bo-Katan were gonna end up in live action. I was like, is she just not ever gonna take off her helmet? Then I was like, how are they gonna get somebody that at least passingly looks like the anime character? Like if they can't make him look like the character, it's gonna be weird. But they kind of nailed it. They seem to nailed it. It looks just like her. It was awesome. To kind of get into some deeper lore stuff, she is after the Darksaber, which of course we know that Moff Gideon has, and she knows that Moff Gideon has it, and I really liked that he made an appearance there. Off
the Empire.
Off recording, Al said he made a note that "Long Live the Empire," is like the new Hail Hydra.
yeah. That was my thought as soon as I saw it.
And I like that, and of course it's a fantastic like just continuing the allegory of the Empire, like basically being like Nazis, and so they had like the suicide pills or whatever.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
they got captured,
really
which I think that's the first time that we've seen that in Star Wars.
That is,
definitely
in live action.
Yeah, like there might have been something like that in one of the shows, but I mean that happened, and it shocked me for a second. I was like, wow, okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
You got me, you bitch. Of course, at the end of the episode, she just straight up name drops Ahsoka, which
I was shocked that they did that.
Yeah, I was not ready for that. Just like such a big. That's such a big teaser because I mean, like Ahsoka is like. Name. Yeah, I was gonna say that's like she's like one of the most recognizable Star Wars characters now.
Yeah, like even I know who Ahsoka is, and I've never seen an episode of either of these shows.
Exactly.
But, I know what she looks like.
Rise of Skywalker.
Yes, okay, I knew that. I knew her voice.
I think they removed her like after that first edit because Dave Filoni didn't want her to kill it off.
Yeah.
So I don't think she's technically in it anymore.
Really? I didn't know that.
Wow. Yeah, because it used to say Ahsoka, and then it just said female Jedi 1 or something in the subtitles.
Yeah, it's still
interesting.
Which
it'll still be Ahsoka to me.
Dave Filoni's directing episode 6, so not the next one, or 5, excuse me, not the next one, but the one after. So she'll probably show up in that one.
Yeah. So something fun that I wanted to point out though too is that Bo-Katan mentioned that Ahsoka is on the planet Corvus, which I thought was very, very interesting because I don't know if it could kind of go both ways. They could be mentioning there's already an established planet in canon. I'm getting into some deep shit here. There's an established planet in canon called Corvus Prime, and then you have Corvus Minor. But Corvus was also the name of the ship that Inferno Squadron used in the Battlefront 2.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So their big like Imperial Raider ship. It was called Corvus, and so
Yeah.
I'm sitting there. I'm like, is that a reference? Is that a reference? Because I mean, the planet they just went to was called Trask, and Trask is the name
Yeah.
of a character from Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
And so I feel like they're doing that again. But what's interesting to me is that Battlefront 2 is canon, whereas Knights of the Old Republic isn't. And so
Mhm.
Oh, wait, it is?
very unfortunately, yeah, Battlefront 2 is canon. Yep.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, it's still extremely mediocre, but it is canon.
And Janina Gavankar actually was like the puppeteer for the Mon Calamari, like doc guy that kind of like talked to the Mando fixing the ship or something.
Wait, really?
So,
Oh wow, I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
That's awesome.
she was like the person controlling it or whatever. Yeah.
That's so sick.
hmm
So what was? Do they just have? I guess they would. It is Lucasfilm. They would just have Janina Gavankar's like phone number like ready to go.
Yeah.
But it's so funny that they're like, hey, you want to come puppet this Mon Cal?
Yeah.
I want to just backtrack for 1 second, Chris, just because
Yeah.
I'm a little confused. When you say Battlefront 2 is canon, 2005 or like the EA one?
The EA one,
EA.
the 2017. 2017
Okay.
Battlefront 2 is canon. Yeah.
Because I really thought we were talking about like the old school one. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I was like, wait, no.
No,
they did
yeah.
two of them.
Yeah, no, that's a good point to clarify. I am of course talking about the EA one. The story in that one is canon, which is a shame because I think the original Battlefront 2's story is way better. But I digress.
Yeah, I
What-
just wanted to get that cleared up. We can continue.
No, you're fine. I digress. We're here
Yeah,
to talk
I
about
would.
Mandalorians. So something else I wanted to point. It's not necessarily like plot related, but it kind of is. And so you have I got two things. One is I just want to give a shout out to how well they made the Quarrens look on screen. The Davy Jones looking dudes.
Oh yeah. Yep.
'Cause
They're always the bad guys, man.
that was exactly my next thing. Is like, has there ever been a good Quarren?
Like even in Legends, they were like more evil than like the Mon
They're
Cala.
always like thugs or something,
I
man.
know, man. Yeah, dude.
The
I get
moment I
racist now.
The moment I saw them, I was like, they're bad guys. They're just like,
They, looked great. Yeah,
It's like-
they technically looked excellent for sure. Like the costume, makeup, CGI, all that was
Mhm.
Oh,
top
yeah.
notch.
Oh yeah, just the way
Yeah.
they'd move and stuff. Like you can tell again for the third time that we're gonna say this on this show or whatever. Their budget's really good.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
everything looks
Yeah,
amazing.
Mhm.
I think the whole planet and like the whole aesthetic of just like the ocean port with like the AT-AT crane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a crane, that was awesome. And like, I don't think we've ever seen anything like this in live action Star Wars. So it's just a cool like
The-
cool planet to live in.
To that point, I don't know that we've ever seen like regular boats in Star Wars either.
Yeah,
Right, no,
it was
man, I
all
think that's
yeah,
the first.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember watching the trailer when it dropped, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Why is he in a boat? Like, what?"
Yeah.
But it's like, oh yeah, his ship is like completely destroyed, which I shouldn't have been too shocked about that, but
It's every week.
Dude, it's every week, man.
it's making the show makes things like that work. Where it's like,
Mhm.
why is he on a boat? Oh yeah, because like
Right.
people actually, people still need to fish and things of that nature. When your
Mhm.
ship's busted, that's the best kind of transport you can get.
Which I did to kind of go back on. I agree with you, Josh. I did really like the whole aesthetic of like this. It's a space fishing port, which it's they did something so well in that it's familiar. Because I mean, we have those in real
Right.
life, but they did just enough to still make it feel like Star Wars.
Yeah.
I mean, because
Yeah.
there's Quarrens and Mon Cal everywhere and weird fish that they're all eating at the cantina and stuff, and so they just did a really good job of kind of like blending like those kind of two vibes together, and it also kind of still fits that sort of seedy underworld kind of thing that Mando's always going for, and
Right.
after so many episodes in like barren places like the desert or an ice planet, it's kind of cool to kind of get back to a more like civilized area for a little while too.
For sure.
I enjoyed that. Sorry, my wife laughed really loudly, and I was like, "What's happening behind me?" I didn't know she was on the phone. I didn't know she was on the phone. It freaked me out.
Or maybe your house is haunted.
I thought she was jokering for a second. I was like, "What's going on?" Yeah. So something else I wanted to mention, of course, just because I'm the big lore guy. I think this is the first time we've ever seen a live action Gazanti cruiser as well, the Imperial ship that they're trying to infiltrate. I think the only other times we've ever seen them are in either in games or in animation. I can't recall ever seeing them in any of the movies.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing it in Rogue One or 9. So
yeah, I feel like Rogue One would be the most likely one that we would see
Right.
Gazanti, but I mean maybe there is one in the background somewhere, but it's like they very much it's like, hey, this is the Gazanti cruiser, and I was like, that's very cool. I like that a ton. And I mean, it is an Imperial ship, so the moment you see it, you go, cool, Imperials. Like that's what we're dealing with. Shout out to these Imperials though too for not looking all like skinny and grimy and dirty like the stormtroopers we see at the beginning of the first season.
Yeah, right. They had their act together.
Yeah. They well,
I
to a point.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
to a point, which there's that one scene that might be, I think, one of the funniest things that Star Wars has ever done. They're like, don't worry, we locked them in that room, and they're like, what?
What room?
What room? And he's like, oh, the hangar control. They're
cargo
like,
control.
The cargo control area, and they're like, which room? And the door flies open, and they all go sailing out.
Get sucked out.
I felt like there was going to be some type of I don't know what to call it, fuckery, because that dude, it was like, oh, close the doors. Like he just seemed like he was too pussy to fight.
Oh yeah.
Like,
he goes and hides behind the thing.
You saw the gun just shaking.
Yeah, the second he came out, I was like, all right, he's gonna. I thought he was gonna like not betray the Empire, but at least I think maybe just turn the gun on himself, not fight.
Just shoot him in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which
that one stormtrooper was like, "Are you sure we should shut that door?"
What door? All the doors.
I was like, all of them.
You know?
I did really like that scene though, just in particular because I mean it's a creative way to get through them. All of the fights were great. It is kind of one of those things. Like again though, stormtroopers really aren't very great at what they do, are they?
Right.
No, when they reference it, they say that they're horrible shots.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to say, when they dropped like smoke bombs and they all put on their thermal vision to blast through, that was so cool,
dude. So let's talk about the Mandalorians. Just again, they do such a fantastic job of taking what's established from all of the expanded universe stuff, all the animated shows, like that sort of thing, and adapting it here. So I mean, they've all got tons of tools. They had like the heat vision in their helmets for when they drop the smoke. Like they do such a great job of showing why you should not fuck with Mandalorians.
Exactly.
And they say there's 10 people, but there's actually only 4.
I love that. I loved that.
That whole like ship is a great demonstration, especially like right off the bat. They throw the first stormtrooper along the windshield.
Yeah,
and just smacks and stuff like that. And then the two guys on the comms are just listening to all this stuff go down, and they're just kind of getting nervous. Like it builds tension in a great way. And then I love the way that Mando uses the Beskar armor to like take all the shots as soon as the ship's going down, because it's just dire situations. And
so cool.
They didn't cover him at all when he did that, man. He was like,
exactly.
Like, he was like, it was like Jenkins from Mass Effect, man. He was able to take the hits. But yeah, they didn't cover him at all. And then he throws the grenades like
he goes wait, which is great though. He's like, cover me, and then the one guy just goes here you go. Shots,
I really thought
shots.
that he was just gonna let go of them, because if the ship was at a tilt, I thought they would just fall into the
he
hull.
could just
Right. So it's
that
so
really cool.
Like, why is he running?
That's a very good point, actually.
It's that G diffuser technology.
Yeah, they got the whole artificial gravity and stuff in there, and it's like a whole thing. I guarantee there's a reason. Because it's Star Wars, and there's always a reason. Shout out though also to, I didn't catch his name, but that Imperial officer that was running the whole thing.
Oh yeah. He kind of looked like, I know it's not canonically the same actor, but he looked like Iden Versio's dad. But maybe that's just the Imperial, trope. It's not him. but it
No, he'd have
did
been long dead
look
by
like-
this point.
Yeah.
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 He'd have
All
been long
old
dead by
white
that
guys look the same.
point. All old white guys. He takes off the hat, and you're like, Joe Biden?
He kind of reminded me of what was it, Stryker from X-Men, a little bit.
Ooh, I do get that vibe a little
Oh,
bit. Yeah.
the officer who panicked was that guy from Parks and Rec, the asshole bowler.
Was it really?
Oh,
Yeah, dude.
okay,
I
damn.
can't remember his name.
No
He
way.
did look very familiar.
Kevin Dorff is the Parks and Rec guy, and then Titus Welliver is the captain.
Interesting. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, shout out to Titus Welliver.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Absolutely.
great performance. I really enjoyed it.
yeah.
So we learned a very, I think, key piece of information about Din Djarin in this episode that I think is worth some discussing, which is, of course, when he meets Bo-Katan and the other two for the first time. Again, I feel like it's happened every week now, but there's always a scene where he's talking to somebody with Mando armor, and they take off the helmet, and he stops for a second, right?
Exactly.
Which again is just fantastic acting. I love how you can always see like how physically shocked he is every time somebody takes off their helmet. But I mean, he makes that point. Of course, he immediately starts out. He's like, "You're not Mandalorians. Like, take that off." And this is the first time where Din kind of gets clapped back at that, where she's like,
Exactly.
"Bitch, I run Mandalore."
Yeah. Like, what the fuck do you know? Like, I fought against Maul, dude. Like, come on.
Yeah,
But,
like
It's been a while since I watched, Clone Wars and Rebels, so I saw those three. I'm like, Death Watch.
so
Like,
that's
it was the blue armor and all.
Right.
so that's the thing that I wanted to get to, where he starts talking about it. He's like, "You're not Mandalorians. You took off your helmet. That's not the way." And of course, she slaps back. She's like, "Bitch, I am Mandalore."
Yeah.
And one of the other Mandalorians was like, "Oh, he's one of them. He's a child of the Watch." So we know from seeing last season that that he's a foundling, and he was rescued by Death Watch because the armor matches. Who Death Watch was
Yep.
was a sect of Mandalorians who kind of wanted to resurrect the old ways. They were essentially, I mean, they were space Vikings for lack of a better term. They constantly wanted to go out and fight and cause war to prove themselves and prove to the galaxy how strong they are. That's like what it's a very warrior based culture. By the time you get to the Clone Wars, they're much more peaceful. They don't really do that sort of thing anymore, and so the Death Watch kind of split up. And so Death Watch is known for being kind of having like that sort of like zealotry around them, and so now we're past the purge, and we're hearing they're just calling them the Watch, but they're also saying it's like Bo-Katan describes the Watch as being like super zealous. They hold on super hard to the old ways. I'm like, oh, it really is
The
Death
way.
Watch. Yeah.
Exactly. A group of religious zealots is what Bo-Katan's.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I
so,
think it adds an interesting layer to Mando, where it's basically everything. He found his community in the Mandalorian, sect, I guess is the best word to describe it, that he grew up in. And I think it's going to add an interesting layer where it's like Coven, yeah, that actually makes more sense. And I think it's going to be interesting to have him deal with the fact that everything he was taught and grew up in, and the area where he found family and community after the droids took over his hometown, is I don't want to use the word a lie, because I feel like that's a bit of a stretch, but isn't as accepted as he thought, and that he's actually an outsider amongst this wider group that he thought he fit in with. And watching him grapple with that, I think, is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I think they have an opportunity to do something like very cool with kind of just dealing with the fact that he's like, well, I'm not like super real Mandalorian, or he could go the other way where he's like, no, I am true Mandalorian, and all these other guys aren't.
Right.
And like I think it could go either way, and that's really cool. And it's a great way of kind of addressing something that I was curious about from the first season, to where when they started explaining what the way was, it is like, have you ever had your helmet removed, and have you ever taken it off? And they're like, no, and this is the way. I was like, that's something new for the show. Like, that was never anything that was established before the show. And so as a big fan, this is gonna sound so nerdy, but as a somebody that's looked a lot into Mandalorian culture. Like that was something new where I was like, how the hell are they going to deal with that once we start getting like actual Mandalorians in on the show? And so it's like they're all Mandalorians, but I mean it's like this whole different thing, and it's cool to see kind of the way that I'm assuming, because we don't have direct confirmation yet, but I'm assuming that Death Watch has kind of evolved over time.
Right.
Because I mean this is
Post-Purge,
post-Purge, yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be that they're going even more back to the old ways.
Mhm.
Because even in the Clone Wars, Death Watch took off their helmets.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we saw their
and
faces
then
a lot.
there's that dichotomy of the Watch, I guess, is what I'll call them, of how I can't remember what part of season 1, but they kind of mentioned that their strength is in the shadows, hiding, biding their time. And then Bo-Katan says in this episode, our strength is in numbers. And then also Maul in season 7 of Clone Wars says, can't remember the exact quote, but like he basically calls out the Death Watch that are with him of like, are you guys meant to hide? You guys aren't meant to hide in the sewers while, the rest of the group ruled Mandalore during the Clone Wars. So I just thought that was interesting, of all these different factors of challenging what being a Mandalorian is, kind of plays off each other throughout the history of like the canon.
I wonder if we'll see any, if there is any like old Death Watch still left, especially because they had that dope ass like Maul style armor in the last season of Clone Wars. Because I would love to see that. I would love to see it with the horns in live action, because that shit was sick.
For
Is
sure.
Fenn Rau's still alive, right?
I
Might show up.
I think so. I don't know. I mean, it's
Yeah, there's a couple left in Rebels.
yeah. There were in Rebels, but I mean, even Rebels takes place before A New Hope, so I mean, it's kind of up in the air because I believe the Purge takes place. Is it before A New Hope? No, it's got to be after.
It's I don't think it's been defined yet, but it's after season 4 of Rebels too, because they fight back against the Empire. They're like, yay, and then obviously it doesn't go as planned.
And I think that's it's my understanding just from the clues that we get from Bo-Katan here, and then what we know about Rebels, is I think the Purge is kind of like retaliation for what happens in Rebels. And Empire's like, you know what, fuck you. And goes back after him. And so the running theory that I have right now is that the Watch is like an even more like strict and zealous or whatever, like Death Watch that became that way because of the Purge. They're like, you know what, we can't trust anybody anymore. Like it's just us. We're gonna hide in the shadows. It's like we want nothing to do with the rest of us. This is the way. Like, but it's very 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 interesting, and I'm excited to.
Yeah, hopefully they explore some more of it for sure.
It'll probably happen next season.
Yeah.
There
I
was
don't think we're gonna get any more this season.
There was like discussions on like, are they going to go to Mandalore? At some point in the show's history of, what. And then as we go through the show, kind of what you said, Chris, is like the show is challenging what, especially to Din Djarin, what it means to be a Mandalorian, from various different points, including Cobb Vanth, which is like super cool. So, and then Boba Fett.
I was going to say, we still have Boba Fett too, which I mean is like he's an entirely different sort of Mandalorian altogether.
Right.
And so so many like cool dynamics, and I love that they're starting to pull all this expanded universe stuff in.
And there's also that woman in the black hood in the episode. Like we see her just briefly when the two frogs, the husband and the wife, meet.
Sasha Banks.
Oh, Sasha Banks.
Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
No. Or was that Sasha Banks too?
Yeah. That was Sasha Banks.
Yeah, because I remember when the trailer
Okay.
came out, a lot of people thought that was Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Or like a Sith or so. Yeah. Some.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize that was Sasha
Well,
Banks.
I think it was going to be a Mandalorian.
Sabine, maybe like hiding in the shadows, kind of watching things.
That was what a lot of people. That was what I'd heard, and it's so funny. I went back through a bunch of old posts on r/Star Wars Leaks to try and see like what people initially thought Sasha Banks was going to be playing, because a big one that I heard. It's funny that you say Ahsoka, Jordan, because I saw a lot of people that are like, is Sasha Banks playing Ahsoka? Like before, I believe she's already been cast. Yeah, before Rosario Dawson was cast.
Yeah. Rosario Dawson.
And so then after that, they were like, okay, well, it's not It's like, I don't think it's Ahsoka, because we think it's. I saw a lot of discussion on Sasha Banks like potentially playing Sabine Wren, a character from Rebels.
She could still show up.
Great character.
With Ahsoka.
I think Sabine could still show up, assuming she's not dead, because she was the last person we saw with the Darksaber before Moff Gideon.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, and this is almost like not even related to the show, but like the timeline of where this show lines up with what Ahsoka and Sabine are doing, we were not really sure where that is yet. So, like, I can't remember who said it. Somebody online was like, they're taking a lunch break on this planet while they're still searching for Ezra, or Ezra could be on the planet. You know, who knows?
Could be there. Yeah, because this is 5 years after Return of the Jedi. Maybe they found him.
Because Rogue Coley,
Rebels does.
Ezra,
Which
Rebels does end with the Empire getting defeated, so you see everybody kind of going their separate ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you assume they've been in hiding really since Revenge of the Sith, because they couldn't really just be out in the open during New Hope and Empire, because they were going after any remaining Jedis that didn't die in Order 66.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One more thing that I wanted to touch on real fast too is just, again, shout out to the frogs. It was I didn't really like Frog Lady last episode, but that scene where she finally meets her husband and stuff, I was like, oh.
They got a happy ending. They had a baby.
One thing I do have to say is, man, go to your wife. Don't have her with her kids run to you.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
And then
he's like, no, you come here.
Yeah.
And then
that was the only thought I had on that.
it wasn't very clear, like, because we didn't get to hear what the frog man said, but he kind of is like, yeah, go in the bar.
I think Josh can tell you what he said.
His mic still doesn't pick it up.
I did like cut it off at the end of it.
My mic is like, none of this. Stop.
On ours, it goes like. That's what you sound. That's what it looks like.
And it just sounds like you coughed on like your own spit for a second.
It's like a space vacuum opened up in the side of your ship or something, man. It's like Matt Damon trying to dock this ship. But yeah, anyways, like, because he was like, yeah, go to the restaurant bar and like somebody will, but then the bartender's like, yeah, this guy knows. And so did that Quarren actually know where the Mandalorians were? He just saw the Beskar and was like, spur of the moment, like, let's try to steal it.
I think that's what it was, where he maybe said something about seeing Mandalorians or something, because I mean clearly 3 of them were running around, and so I'm assuming that a lot of people probably saw them because Frog Boy was like, yeah, I've seen Mandalorians.
Yeah.
So I mean maybe he'd seen them, but I think he saw an opportunity. He's like, I'm gonna get that shiny helmet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get that.
Yeah.
Dude, I was scared for Baby Yoda, man. Like,
yeah, that's
as soon as it went into the mouth, I was like they're not, like, there's no way.
I know, right? Like, imagine if that was it. At the end, it's like they pull the fish out of the water and it just coughs up his skeleton, and it's like, well, he's dead.
God.
End of the series.
Baby Yoda got some character growth this episode, though, when he was with the frog parents, and they were like, hey, this is like a life, like you should like not try to eat it.
I did love that
when he's taken away.
Yeah. I did love that scene though, to where Din hands him over and he's like, you be nice, mind your manners.
You know what I mean. You know what I'm referring to.
It's so good.
And also, we have confirmation he does feed the baby because he ordered him chowder.
That's right. Yeah.
That scene was adorable too.
That squeeze thing like had a alien in it or something. Like,
I guess that's just part of it.
It reminded me of like what the Teletubbies eat that just like comes out of the squirt machine. Yeah.
It looked cool, but it looked gross at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just like I bring over your table.
I appreciate that. I mean, it's like, it's probably got to be like a seafood chowder of some kind, right? Like, that's probably got to be hella delicious. It's fresh, man.
Yeah, literally.
Exactly. That was just one of the thoughts that I've had where I was like, that's probably pretty good. It's like, it's probably fresh. I did also love that bit though, where the alien comes out and like sticks itself onto the child's face, and Mando just kind of looks over. He's like, quit playing with your food, and like stabs it.
Yeah.
So that initially I was like, what the hell is like? Why is this alien and this thing's food? And then he looks over. He's like, just stop playing with your food. And I was like, oh, it just comes with it. That's just part of it.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to put some protein in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta make sure you get your nutrients.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Because then later in the episode, you see Sasha Banks like having one of its tentacles like
slurping it,
slurping
yeah.
it like spaghetti.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that. One of course final thing that I want to talk about for the episode is just so it kind of relates to the next episode, but you know what? I run the show, so I'm going to allow it. Where we know that Din's goal now is to take the child to Ahsoka, and of course Ahsoka at the very least is going to be like, oh, that's a small Yoda. She knows who Yoda was. She trained with him.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yoda's dead by this point, but I mean, it's like she knew who Yoda was. Whether she actually knows the name of the species or where they're at, it's kind of up in the air. But I think that leaves an interesting question of it's like, what is Ahsoka going to do with the child once she gets there? You know, because like she was a Jedi. Like she's going to fully understand that this thing is capable of using the Force and is probably very powerful too. Like, just assuming that all of, like, the Yoda species or whatever are extremely powerful in the Force. I think that kind of opens up, like, it's like, what if, like, she does be like, yeah, give it to me, and I'll take him. And then I'm sitting and I'm like, well, what happens to the show after that if suddenly the child's not in it?
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like,
yeah.
I'm just curious to see it. It's like, I don't think they would get rid of the child.
Yeah.
But then that also begs the question of like, well, what's Ahsoka going to, like, what are they going to do with Ahsoka once they get there?
I was just gonna say, what if Ahsoka becomes a main character and it's the three of them traveling together?
Oh fuck!
Oh, like a little
be
family.
cool.
Yeah, there's a so yeah, like so we got to know where Ahsoka's at in terms of, is she gonna take the kid to train him? Like, is that, and then that begs the question of like, you know, Luke, what he's doing at this point. You know, I think right now he's still, you know, treasure hunting and stuff. So, yeah. So, but then is Ahsoka training other people? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
You know, like the Grey Jedi thing, setting up a whole order of those.
Yeah, because at the end of the Clone Wars, you assume there's 100 Jedi left or something like that. So
Yeah.
Probably
less.
it's just, and then because like, and then if Ahsoka's like, yeah, I'll take it and train it, or you know,
But I mean, we also know that Ahsoka's not really interested in the Jedi life at all anymore.
Right.
Like she's not a Jedi anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
In
That's
fact,
what I was gonna say.
I don't even think she has her lightsabers at the end of Clone Wars, like those blue ones. Like I don't think she has the blue ones. She has the white ones that we see
Yeah.
In Rebels, yeah.
in Rebels. But I mean, they flat out made sure there's like in that duel that she has with Darth Vader in the show. Spoilers, Jordan. Sorry.
No, it's good.
Where she's like, I'm going to avenge Anakin, and Darth Vader goes, vengeance isn't the Jedi way, and she's like, I'm not a Jedi. So it's like they made, which first off is an amazing line, and I gave myself goosebumps there, and I didn't even do it all that well. But I mean, it's like they make such a strong point to understand is like she doesn't live this life anymore. She got lightsabers, she ain't no Jedi. And so it's an interesting thought to see kind of what she would. Like she's going to end up doing. We don't know. It also kind of begs the question is like, do you think we'll ever see Luke in this show?
Sebastian Stan.
That's what I want. That's what I want. I want nothing more than to have Sebastian Stan play Luke Skywalker.
Or I think if they put Luke in the show, they probably would do like a hologram thing where it's like a little far away or something, and they have Sebastian Stan or something, so you don't.
I'm gonna be honest. If they, I'd rather they just not have Luke in it at all.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
I
I'd just rather he not be in there. But if they're stuck on like we're gonna put Luke Skywalker in the show, motherfuckers, it better be Sebastian Stan.
They already nailed the CGI for young Luke in Rise of Skywalker, so
yeah, it's pretty good.
He did look very good for the 2 seconds that we saw it.
Well, so like with Din, like, does he even want to give up the kid? You know what I mean? Like,
That's another question. The way he keeps it.
That's something where like, so what if Ahsoka's like, yeah, like, you know, at least I'll, you know, train him just one-on-one just because like he has this gift, he needs to know how to use it. And then Din's like, wait a minute, like I can't just have the kid forever. And then and then I think in season 1, I can't remember how it diced out, but originally it was to take it to its own kind, which you assume that was the Yoda species. And then it kind of got co-opted into taking it to the Jedi. So there's still that taking it to, Planet Yoda in play too, as well.
Right. And I think just because Ahsoka has, she's like left the Jedi Order before, and she's had just so much kind of tension within there, I think she might be reluctant to take the child in at first and be like, I've tried to walk away from this life. Like I've seen what it's done. I see what it can do to people. I don't want to like touch it, like maybe like a Luke in the Last Jedi sort of situation. So I think it'll be very interesting.
So
to
to kind of start wrapping up a bit here, I have a couple of points that I want to do. One, just because I know how the Mandalorian, this show, is, and how it loves to drag out the things that people want. Do y'all think we're gonna see Ahsoka next episode, or are they gonna make us wait until the 5th one?
Yeah, I think it'll be 5.
I want to, because but I think it'll wait.
Yeah, Dave Filoni, I think rightfully so, has ownership of that character to a certain extent.
It's his character. He created her. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they're gonna let him tell her story in live action.
And I believe he's directing the 5th episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll like introduce like the last scene of next episode, but then the 5th episode will be like the big.
Maybe they'll
the big one. Yeah.
They'll hit us with that Luke Skywalker reveal like in Force Awakens, where she turns around, takes off the hood, and then credits.
Exactly.
Camera pans for 30 seconds just around.
Oh god, yeah, big ugly ass helicopter shot.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think next episode, since next episode's directed by Carl Weathers, I don't think it's going to be like a massive banger. And so far it's been.
Is it really?
High. Yeah, it's been high, low, high. So I think this one's going to be a little more low key next week, and then obviously week 5 will be pretty huge.
Probably safe to assume that this episode then is going to be like traveling to Corvus or whatever. Like something's going to happen along the way.
Yeah.
I wonder what episode 5 is going to be called. Because this one was the Heiress, and it was relating to Bo-Katan. I wonder what,
The Exile, maybe? The Jedi? That's probably
oh man,
good.
I love how you don't know the episode titles until like the
exactly.
Until like the day of or whatever. It's really great.
I think
I didn't know Carl
Weathers directing. Yeah.
Do you think he's going to be in it?
They'll pick absolutely him and
I think he will.
Carano, like the shock trooper. I think they're going to make their return.
Cara Dune.
Cara Dune.
We know they're both in it. They were in this season. They were in the trailer. Like there's a shot of the two of them together. So it's like cool. They're coming back, which I'm excited. I like those characters.
Absolutely.
I'm curious. I wonder if he's going to go back to like his home planet from the first one then.
I think in one of the trailers they show Grief and Kara walking out of that like city on Navarro. So I would assume I
can see like the arch in my mind. Like yeah.
I don't think we're gonna spend a ton of time there, but I think it'll be like 5-10 minutes. Yeah, something like that.
Fair enough.
Well, boys.
Speaking of traveling, one thing before this is the end of the episode when he gets back on the Razor Crest. Man, those doors sounded rough. Those doors sounded rough.
There's like live squids inside, the pieces falling off.
So my thought, Mando has to be getting a new ship this season, right? Like with how beat up the Razor Crest is.
I said that last week. I was like, his ship keeps falling apart, and like everyone's like, "Yo, this is an old ship, bro." Like,
I was like, he's gonna get the Slave One.
That was Chris and I were talking about that before. Like when I brought
this still parked in Mos Eisley.
I love
a slave ship at least.
Exactly.
Yeah, repoed probably.
I love that comedic beat in the very beginning of the episode where he's like having that rough landing and he barely just makes it and then
falls over.
Yeah, exactly.
They've been killing it with the cold opens this season.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
They've been excellent.
Yeah.
And I do love that joke at the end too. I mean, where he walks into the cockpit and there's just shit everywhere, and he's like, On cows.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Damn.
And I don't know where. I assume it came from Legends first, but it's always just been harped on in Legends, and and canon too. Actually, now I think about it, of like how the ship designs of Mon Cala ships are just not meant for like
Right.
Humans.
or like
Yeah.
any other species. It's just designed for the way they're.
There's always like any of the books and stuff. Anytime that somebody's on a Mon Cala ship, they always point out like how like humid they always are on the inside of them, because I mean a bunch of fish people live in it. they're like it's just warm and humid and gross, and everything is designed so weird. I liked that a lot. Yeah, I mean, yeah. They pull it out with the AT-AT thing. I love that too.
Yeah. Another great thing I think they're doing with this season 2 is like creative Baby Yoda shots. So like the first episode, when he's going through the Tatooine desert, we follow Baby Yoda on the back of the speeder, and then the last episode we had him just that like close up, like distorted look where he's like looking into the like
the big like the egg.
yeah, exactly. And we got that again this episode with the one hatching, but the squid at the end where like there's like 8 different they show from the perspective of inside the squids, and there's like 8 different just baby Yodas just kind of like twirling around and stuff like that. I thought that was very cool.
I agree with that. They're definitely, I think, trying to expand on just like the way that they shoot the child more, because I mean it's like you said, the creative Baby Yoda shots. Like my mind immediately went to the cold open from, I think it was last episode, where like right after they get mugged, and you know he blasts the dude off, and the child like runs back over to Den and he picks them up. Like I loved that shot, man. One, it was adorable. Yeah, exactly. Two, I think it was the first time we've ever seen him like run.
Right.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, I'm so sorry. I got so distracted. Our fucking neighbors are playing music so loud that I can hear it through my headphones. Like, it's ridiculous.
Oh, wow. I can't hear anything.
Gosh. That's fine, though. It's fine, whatever. I'll just file another noise complaint. I'm sick of it. But anyway, not Star Wars related at all. Anyway.
Bryce Dallas Howard does it again.
Yeah, she did a great job, dude. She did in her episode last season was awesome as well.
Sanctuary, yeah.
Yeah, that was something Alan and I were talking about kind of off camera, to where I didn't know that Bryce Dallas Howard did this episode like up until like the very the credits rolled. I was like, oh shit, like that's another one, and I think about the episode from last season with the ATST, which is one of my favorite ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's that thing going on Twitter of like that shot of Apollo 13 from Ron Howard, her dad, and the almost exact symmetry of the Razor Crest falling down to re-entering atmosphere. So it was like, and I think literally Bryce said it was intentional when they were both coming down. So
that's really cool.
Everyone was pointing that out, and I was like, oh yeah, it is like a really cool little neat thing to do, to honor your dad. So I was like,
Alan said something, and it was like, she's killing it with these episodes. Why is she still acting? She just needs to be directing everything. I was like, just give her a Star Wars movie at this point, man.
She's great. Need a third Jurassic World movie first before she can just.
Oh my god, it's happening. It's happening though. You would.
I know.
You need redemption after the second one.
Second one wasn't bad.
It's so funny though when you think about
first half.
When you think about Bryce Dallas Howard's like first episode, like the what'd you say? What was it called? The Guardian.
Sanctuary.
The Sanctuary. Thank you. Where just how the ATST was shot it just reminds me so much of the shots used to convey like the scale of the T-Rex in Jurassic Park, and of course she's in Jurassic World.
Like pan up of the forest and the birds kind of flying.
Oh yeah, and you can see it like silhouetted out over the top, but they also like they focus on like one of its footprints. It's filled with water that starts to vibrate like as it's walking. I was like, I was like, if this isn't a Jurassic Park reference, then I don't know what is. Like it feels so intentional.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, boys. I think we are just about at time. Thank you again, as always, for coming on here. Jordan, where can we find you, homie?
On Twitter at Jordan_Deeb to hear my thoughts so far on the PlayStation 5 a few days in.
Ooh, give me like a small blurb. How you liking it?
Oh, dude, I just keep staring at it. Like I can't. It's weird because like when I play it, I still think I'm playing on my PS4 because it just feels that familiar. It truly is a evolution instead of revolution, to quote Mark Cerny.
Yep.
And I
100%
also
agree.
made a meme from Drake and Josh where he says, "I love this album more than I love myself," but I replaced it with the
I did see
PlayStation
that.
5
I
That
did
was a good
see
one.
that.
I liked it.
because I'm just so happy I have it.
Josh, what about you, man? Where can we find you?
Find me on most social media platforms at some other Josh. And then my meme that I made was Gabe from The Office saying, "Shut up about the PS5, shut up about the PS5," because mine doesn't arrive till Tuesday because Best Buy Canada just wanted to take their sweet time. But yes, that was my meme.
All right, Alan, what about you, man? Where can we find you?
I can be found most places at albob875, and you can, if you follow me on Twitter, you can see a lot of shots of Miles Morales. I am loving
so jealous.
like
They look
the
I know,
photo mode
dude.
in Spider-Man 2018. I am just finding so many cool shots to do with that because it is so easy. Just hit the start button and or
Mhm.
options, and you just go to a photo mode, and it's any moment basically.
Yeah.
It's so much fun messing around with that.
So cool, so jealous. Oh my gosh. Brett, what about you, man? Where can we find you?
You can find me at twitch.tv/JimTasty, where every day I stream my favorite Wii U games.
So just Wind Waker on repeat? The only good Wii
Pretty
U game?
much.
and Zombie U and Breath of the Wild.
Zombie U.
Mass Effect 3.
Oh man.
Oh my god. I, of course, am Chris, aka RumblePack92. You can find me at twitch.tv/RumblePack92, also on Twitter at the same username, where I have mostly just memes about crime, because I don't have a PlayStation 5, nor do I have a pre-order for one.
Everyone drop F's in chat for us, please.
I'm fine. But anyway, of course, this has been the third episode of This Is the Waypoint. We will be back again next Monday to talk Chapter 4, maybe Ahsoka? Maybe I'll title it that instead of whatever the name of the episode is.
We're hoping. We are hoping.
Thank you, everyone.